for now, 5:36, 2:70.
So two men are out of that battle for the Alcohol Funny Car World Championship. On to our next pair. Mick Steele, a winner this year on tour, and Larry Dobbs, who knocked off Scott Wise in the first round. Watch this reaction time. Mick Steele, 5:08. He is third quickest in reaction time averages this year among the Alky floppers. Steele, 6:11, 228 miles per hour. The ditch one in that round touched the fives. It has slowed down. Here's a look at the semifinal matchups. Jimmy Rector and Scott Wenny will have lane choice in their respective races. But with that,
when a guy gets insurance on his race car, is it covered on the track?
Track coverage is available, but I have to say, of all the race cars that I've ever heard of being insured, there's...
Here, off we go to Budds Creek, Maryland, the IHRA President's Cup. Let's look back at what happened there in the finals of Alcohol Funny Car. It was Jimmy Rector and Mick Steele. Mick, who you say? Watch this and you'll find out about Mr. Steele. He was loaded for bear and ran a charmed race in the final against Jimmy Rector. Side-by-side run. Mick Steele barely nipped it out. His crew is delighted. His first ever IHRA national event win with a 6:20, 225 miles per hour. Now let's look back at that finish and you can see just how close it was. Welcome back to In the Driver's Seat. This week, we're looking at the Ditch Witch sponsored car of Mick Steele. Mick Steele introduced a new car to the Snap-on IHRA series. This car had one very important ingredient for success: a major sponsorship. Mick Steele hit the trail on the International Hot Rod Association with a vengeance, having a good degree of success. This week, In the Driver's Seat takes a look at the incredible story of Mick Steele. Stay tuned. Receiving a major sponsorship is a very important asset, almost necessary to a successful professional drag racing team, especially if you're running on the IHRA circuit with a supercharged Alcohol Funny Car. Well, in late 1996, this week's driver on In the Driver's Seat did such a feat. Hi, everyone. I'm Ted Jones, and we're studying this week the alcohol funny car team of a man who did very well in the 1997 season. He was relatively unknown, but made a commitment to run all the IHRA events and made a positive statement when he went to the IHRA President's Cup event at Budds Creek, Maryland, and came out the winner. We're talking about the man who occupies that seat over there working on the clutch plate. His name is Mick Steele. One of the obligations of having a major sponsorship, any driver motorsports will tell you, is making personal appearances for that sponsor. Such is the case with Mick. We went to Ditch Witch in Perry, Oklahoma. Mick's sponsor to catch up with him and ask him about his drag racing experience.
I basically started as soon as I got my driver's license. Had a street car, had a local drag strip, and went out there and started learning about drag racing. Had a dragster, campaigned that for 5 years, and then we stepped up to the funny car back in 1993, and since that time, that's what we've been running as funny car. The funny car wasn't the first class that I'd picked. I'd actually had sold my bracket car, and I bought an alcohol dragster.
We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll take a look at Mick's successes during the 1997 season. Stay with us.
Mark and Rick Hickman were up to, them guys know how to run, so I knew that I at least had to do my job as a driver. We got up there, the excitement was just building and building. I mean, I just couldn't believe, what was going on. It was just, here I am, going to the final round. So we got down there and found out, that we were going to run Jimmy Rector, which is the 1997 world champ. I wasn't nervous going into the final round.
Just for this final. However, Mick had a secret weapon of his own. No, it wasn't a blower. It was one of the most famous crew chiefs in drag racing, Rick Hickman. Welcome back to Budds Creek, Maryland, as we take a look on In the Driver's Seat at Mick Steele, who is ready for that final against his own match race adversary, Jimmy Rector.
We went to that final round. Jimmy had been, and I agreed with him. I told him I would. Then I told him I'd cut a 14 light on him. But, we did, got up there to run him in the final, cut a 426 light on him. We ran a 620. He ran a 613. I mean, we took the win. I mean, it was the highlight of my racing career to this point. I mean, it was just an unbelievable day, and it was one of these deals where I was really numb to what we had really accomplished until that ride home. I mean, then it really sunk in that the years that I've worked at racing and even campaigning a funny car, that's your goal, is to win a national event, and we got there, we did it.
And when he did it, the crew was jubilant, to say the very least. However, down on top end, Brett Kepner found a very subdued winner.
There is nothing quite like the look of the face of a first-time winner when that helmet comes off. And what a day this guy has had. I mean, let's face it, you beat world champions left to right in the final round. You're 620, his losing 613.
Unbelievable. I told you earlier the driver had to do it, and we did it. Holy smokes, I can't believe it.
You had a car that was right there all day, but man, you have been impressive on the tree.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, but I wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff without Ditch Witch and collector cars and some of my other sponsors, Southern Speed. I mean, them guys do it all for me, especially my crew.
When you came out this year with the new deal, everybody thought, well, let's see what happens. They're just match racers. Guess what, buddy? You're a national event winner for your new sponsor. What a job.
I appreciate it.
Great job.
You killed him on the lights, man. You killed him, buddy. Way to go.
With that victory at the President's Cup in Budds Creek, Mick actually had a long shot at the World Championship if he could keep repeating in the first round of competition at the IHRA Summer Nationals in Cordova, Illinois. It looked as if the Ditch Witch car might roll once again into victory lane. The final stop for the IHRA Trail would be at Darlington International Dragway in Darlington, South Carolina, where the season began. Mick Steele qualified, won the first round, and then in the quarterfinals, he wanted to defeat Larry Dobbs. Why? Because if he did, he would finish number 5 or better in the points. Dobbs went down to defeat narrowly. Mick Steele with a 6'11", 228 miles at over 230 miles per hour. It was the end of the season for Mick Steele, but he had had a very satisfying and rewarding season after all. He finished number 5 in
running a alcohol funny car, and started wanting to do something there, and of course we were a little bit skeptical, not knowing that much about racing ourselves, and we'd already just entered.
Our second round elimination snap. First round we ran against Bunny Burkett. She broke at the starting line. That gave us a bye run. Luckily, since we blew the blower belt, hopefully this run will go a lot better. We're running against Mark Thomas, who ran a 6:08. Our best time was a 6:13.
Camera down, just let it run.
Everybody wave. Everybody wave. You're in the winner circle.
The most ironic thing about Steele's President's Cup Nationals win is that